Hey there, this is Jamie at Next Fit Clubs Hillsborough. Today we're going to talk a little bit about functional fitness and what exactly that means. So functional fitness is really anything that you're doing in the gym or anything that you're doing in order to strengthen or increase your exercise capacity that translates over to everyday life. So it could be a movement that just helps you function generally better throughout your day, completing everyday tasks, little things like that. So we're going to go over today the squat. We're going to talk about the deadlift, we're going to talk about the clean and press, and farmer's carry. So those are my top, I would say, most used movements outside of the gym, and I'll tell you a little bit about how those translate. So number one, the squat. So squatting basically, and I'll just turn to the side so you can see, is I'm sticking my hips back, I'm getting down below parallel, and standing back up. So this could be anything from you're getting down on the floor to play with your kids. So maybe you're down here in a squat, maybe you need to get something out of a lower cabinet and you want to squat down, reach in, grab something out of the cabinet, and then stand back up. It could also help with sitting. So for example, if you're sitting in a chair, you're sitting on the couch, it's going to be the exact same muscles that you're using to do a squat. So if I were going to go sit on my couch, I am squatting back. In order to stand back up, I need to use those same muscles that I'm using when I get out of a nice deep squat. So depending on how low your chair is, that might help translate over. So say you have a low stool, maybe you're in your garden, you're sitting on a gardening stool, and you need to be able to get up out of that stool when you're done, you're using those same muscles that you use for a squat. So squat would be a really good movement to integrate into your training. So I'm going to show you today just a goblet squat. I'm going to grab a kettlebell, I'm going to bring it up to my chest, I'm going to do the same thing, hips back, get nice and low, stand back up. The lower that I squat, the lower I'll be able to get out of, say, a low stool or a chair that's closer to the floor. And it will help you in your everyday life because your legs will be stronger and you won't have as much difficulty with those movements that you kind of repetitively do throughout the day. All right, so the second movement that we're going to go over today is the deadlift. So deadlift, we do it all the time at the gym. We do it with a barbell, we do it with the trap bar, we do it with dumbbells, sometimes kettlebells, which I'm going to show you today. How that translates is anytime that there is an object on the floor that you want to pick up, you should be thinking about deadlifting it. So that means a nice straight back with a solid core. We're using our legs to push from the ground. So you're not necessarily using your back to lift up. You're not necessarily using your arms to lift anything up. You are grabbing a hold of the object and you're using your legs. So that's the super most important part because your legs are going to be stronger than your upper body. What I don't want to do is haphazardly pick up something that might be a little bit heavy and I'm not bracing for it because I'm not thinking about what I do in the gym in my everyday life. So I want you to think about that when you're out in your everyday life, is anything that you're picking up that's going to be moderately heavy, you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself the same way that if you had a barbell loaded with 315 pounds, how you would go about lifting that up. So when I'm at the gym and I'm being very intentional, I've got my kettlebell here. I'm going to put my feet on either side of the kettlebell. I'm going to shift my hips back, bend my knees. I've got my shoulders directly over it. I'm pushing through the floor to stand up, and I'm only using my legs. My arms are bracing for the weight, but I'm using my legs to push up through the floor. So again, this could be anything that you're picking up off the floor, but you do want to think about deadlifting it up. So I could be doing this with, I've got this dead ball here, which might be a little bit more closer to a random object that you might need to be picking up off the floor. So you might be picking up after your kids, you might be picking up something in your garage, you might be doing some yard work. Any of those things would be functional in terms of how you deadlift something, where I'm not just gonna pick it up and kind of just haphazardly do it. I'm going to use my legs, I'm gonna get my hands on the ball, I'm gonna deadlift it up like I would as if I were at the gym with a barbell, kettlebells, dumbbells, etc. So I want you to think about that in your functional life, in your everyday things. When you want to pick something up off the floor, think deadlift. All right, so the next functional movement that we're going to go over is the clean and press. So clean and press, when you're at the gym, you can do it with a barbell, you can do it with dumbbells, you can do it with kettlebells, you can do it with a dead ball, which is what we're going to use today. And that is anything that you need to get off the floor, up to the shoulders, and then overhead in some capacity. That's the movement that you want to be able to functionally do outside of the gym. You can train it in the gym, and then hopefully it'll make all of those things easier when you're doing housework, and you have a giant box of things that you have to put onto a storage shelf down in your basement, this is the movement that you're going to put into practice. So I'm going to use the ball today. We're going to pretend like I need to get this ball up on top of the boxes. So I'm going to incorporate a little bit of my deadlift that we already went over earlier. I'm going to have a nice flat back. I'm going to grab a hold of my object. I'm mostly using my legs to push, and I'm going to pop the hips to get it up to my shoulders. Now from here, in order to get it up onto a high shelf, I'm going to need to use my legs. I'm going to dip, and then I'm going to extend my arms into a pressed out position. So from here, I'll be able to get it up onto a high shelf without having to strain too much. So think about that while you're at the gym. You might not be super well versed where you're doing it with a barbell. It's a much more advanced movement, but maybe practicing with some kettlebells, using a dead ball, using some dumbbells, whatever's accessible to you. And then you can put that into practice when you're doing errands around the house, or if you're playing with a niece, a nephew, one of your kids, you want to pick them up and throw them up in the air, that is the move that you're going to use. Okay, so the last and final movement that we're going to go over today is the farmer's carry. So we're going to incorporate the deadlift that we already learned, and then we're going to add a carry. So this is going to be functional in your everyday life when you're like me and you don't want to take multiple trips from the car into the house from the grocery store. You eat a lot of food, you got a lot of bags. So we're going to practice carrying all those groceries all in one shot. This is also functional. You're like going to the beach, you got your chairs, you got your beach bag, you got your kids, whatever you have. We're going to learn how to strengthen our grip strength, our core strength, and a little bit of legs as well in a functional way. So if you're at the gym, you can use the kettlebells for this. You can use the farmer's handles for this. You can use dumbbells for this. Anything that's an object that you can hold on to and carry for any length of time. So I'm going to incorporate my deadlift, as I said. So nice flat back. I'm going to grab a hold of my kettlebells, set my shoulders back, and then I'm going to push with my legs. So from here, I'm going to start walking. I'm keeping my core super strong, and I'm going to start walking forward, bracing everything. So you can do this for any length of time. You can do this for any length of distance. And then once you've kind of built up a little bit, you can start adding some more weight. Maybe grab some heavier kettlebells, add some weight to the farmer's handles. But there you go, now you're carrying all of your groceries in one shot. So try out some of these functional moves. If you have any questions on them, feel free to ask me. You can ask one of the trainers. If there's something that you're struggling with in your everyday life and you're looking for something to do in the gym, ask one of the trainers and hopefully we can help you find something that will functionally help you get better in your everyday life.